All right. Well, today we're going to talk about knowing your worth and stopping giving away your paycheck. I don't like to see when agents give away their paychecks. To me, that's something that you guys are worth too much, your values are too much. And so, with that, I would much rather see you really working and showing your value so that that never happens again. So with that being said, let me just go ahead and get this going here. All right. So the first thing is, of course, knowing your role. If you don't know your role, oh, and by the way, guys, because I don't see the chat real well on my screens, even though I have four up. But if you want anything or want me to stop or have a question, just interrupt me. Just unmute yourselves and ask me the question. But you need to know your role. So you need to define the role of a real estate agent to your client, whether it be the buyer or the seller, and really explain it. You know, when you go to a doctor's office or an attorney's office and they explain to you what they're going to be doing for you, what their role is in court, what their role is as a medical professional, you have to do no different as a real estate professional. So you need to be telling them what your role is because you need to be a necessity, not a commodity, not just a desire or a want. You need to be a need, not a want. Okay. So you need to explain the responsibilities of the real estate agent. You need to state, hey, this is what you need me for. I am going to do this for you. Highlight that importance of your role in that buying and selling process. They can't do it on their own, can they? If they can, they're not going to need you. They need to need you. Like my husband always says, make them need you. Not just want you, but need you. Hi, Michael. So they need to absolutely need you. With that, you've got to also, of course, in order for them to need you, you need to demonstrate your knowledge. You need to make them believe and understand that your knowledge and your professionalism is above what they could possibly do via Google or any AI chat that's going to take over the world, right? So you want to discuss that importance and know the importance in the real estate industry. And when I say discuss that importance and demonstrate your knowledge, you better have that knowledge. We're not talking about just fake it till you make it here. You need to study every day, understanding what that knowledge is necessary for. Because guess what? Buyers and sellers are researching it. They're going on Google and they're becoming certified buyers and certified sellers through Zillows and Trulias and whatnot, right? And I'm just using those names arbitrarily, but they are out there researching and becoming pros at knowing how to buy and sell so that when they call you, they're kind of taking you by the neck and saying, look, I don't really need you except you have a license and I don't. So you need to make them need you. They need to know that you know the market so well and you know the ins and outs, even the things that they cannot find on Google. You know everything about the local real estate market and you know everything there is to know about the legalities, the laws, the expertise needed in buying and selling. You do that and they're not going to try to supersede your comments and your abilities. You want to also provide that exceptional customer service. Again, if they're calling you and you're not calling them back, they're going to be like, okay, seriously? Let me just call somebody else because there's more people with real estate licenses than driver's licenses out there. So you need to be sure that you understand the importance of customer service in this real estate industry, right? So that when they call you, you're not at their beck and call. Don't get me wrong, because you're going to set expectations from the start. But you want to make sure that they understand that you are their advocate, you are their customer service person, you are, in some cases, where they're what, counselors, therapists, um, everything, right? We've become babysitters, we've become everything, right? But you want to be there with customer service, with exceptional customer service, understanding how you go above and beyond for your clients. Careful with when I say above and beyond. I just jokingly said we become babysitters and whatnot. Don't go so crazy with the above and beyond that you're like, oh, that house needs cleaning. No problem. I'll take care of the cleaning. No problem. I'll pay for the cleaning crew. No problem. I'll come with my little bucket full of cleaning supplies and do it myself, or I'll go outside and mow your lawn for you. No, don't do that. You are their real estate professionals. Would the doctor come to you and clean your wounds? No, right? He's going to get a nurse to do that. Same thing here. Don't be so wanting that deal that you get overzealous. Make sure that what you're doing is staying in your lane, but at the same time, you are providing that above and beyond uh, customer service. With that being said, market your services. Discuss the importance of marketing the services that you do. Highlight your marketing strategies. Of course, this is uber important if you are with a seller, right? Trying to get a listing. You want to explain to them how your listing abilities, how your marketing abilities in selling their home is going to be better than the next 5,000, 5 million agents out there, right? So you want to make sure that they know why they need to choose you. And with that, you're going to discuss all that. And with a buyer, sometimes we don't find the house that that buyer wants, right? And we might have to market to find that house as well. So no matter what, you're going to explain the examples of your marketing campaigns. Now, also, you're going to showcase your success. If you're new, or you just got your license, or you're just starting out, or you took a break and coming back, don't worry. You still have success. You show your success based on your previous business, right? You tell them, hey, I've been a successful marketing person for 30 years. I have been in customer service. You might have been a server. That's customer service. Just be creative without lying, of course, but be creative and demonstrate and showcase your success. Don't come in here and say, I'm a brand new agent, just got my license, right? No, you will give them your testimonials of people loving your customer support, your customer service, whatever your past life was. As far as examples of successful transactions, you might want to partner up with somebody in the office and say, hey, do you mind if I share some of the transactions that you sold, which will highlight our company? A lot of times people won't mind. You obviously aren't going to say you sold them, but you can say our office sold these transactions. And always, of course, highlight any awards or recognitions that you may have received. That again may have been in your previous career. That's okay too. Maybe you received a top salesperson, or you might have received a top customer service award. Highlight those. Don't get so scared if you're new or just coming back. Use your entire life experience, because our past makes our present. Our past molds our future. Our present molds our future, right? So it all starts with perspective. It all starts with how we see ourselves. And that is what brings us to value, understanding our value. In order to really understand the value, now you'll go back with your client and summarize those points that you've already discussed. You're going to discuss how your knowledge, your customer service, your marketing, and your success demonstrate your value as a real estate agent, where they will be like, whoa, I'm not even going to think about doing this on my own, or I'm not going to even think of doing this with just somebody as representing me as a customer. Because what are we seeing a lot? A lot of people are calling the listing agents and saying, look, I don't really need an agent. I just need someone to write this contract. And even if you're doing the right thing, saying, I can only represent you as a customer and I can't really give you any advice, they're like, okay, I don't care, because they already think they know more than you. So you want to make sure that they need you. Make sure that you explain to them the need of having you on in their corner, right? That's huge. And creating that value and marketing around the value is a constant battle, right? And it often interacts, because we interact with public all the time. It can be difficult and nearly impossible to find a system that will fit the needs of every client you want to reach. What do we tend to do when we market and when we discuss our value? We talk about we charge this, or our company charges that, or this is what I do for my listings, or this is what I do. Look at me on this card. Look at me on this picture, right? We tend to focus on us or really just the big picture things, where if you really focus and come into those little things, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you pick up the phone and call every agent you're considering right now, I can almost guarantee you that most of them will not answer the phone on the first try, right? Now, be careful saying that, because you better answer that phone on that first try and first ring when they call you. But my point being, you find what's going to make you different and above the rest so that you can demonstrate and focus on that. Get the focus out of you and onto what their needs are. Because what do we know? Every client, every customer is different. So if we have a all for one and one for all type of marketing campaign, we might have an issue. Whereas if we have one that fits around value of what you do, that's always going to be okay. Because if it's focused on your value as a real estate professional, and then you can just kind of create everything else around the personalities of the clients you're working with, you're going to be in a much better position. And you won't have to say, oh, this person's a real numbers person and my presentation is more emotional. No, it's going to always pertain to all types of personality if you focus on value. People like raw, honest information, do they not? When they tell you what should I buy the house for, or what do you think the value is for, they want you to be honest. So if they tell you I think my house is worth 400,000, and you say, okay, we can try that, but you're not really being honest. Is it really providing value, and is it really being with integrity? No, right? You want to be honest. And people find that honesty good, even if they're angry at first. They might not like you when you say, you know what, your house is only worth 200,000. But the reality is they're going to appreciate you in the end, because you may have just saved them 6 months on the market, useless time on the market. They're educated. They know when they are being sold or sold to, right? So our profession has always been bogged down with a negative stereotype because of a few bad agents that'll do things like that. So we have to be the eyes and the ears of our local real estate market. And it is our job to educate and consult with people. Several of you that know me know I always say I'm an educator and a consultant first, above all. Even when I'm selling houses, that's what I am. I'm educating my clients. I am consulting with my clients. I'm not selling them. The house is going to sell itself. We don't have to sell the house. We just need to educate and give them information. I might sell a house but I'm not going to push the people into the choices. They have to make their choices. And we are expected to be experts. So make sure you are. You don't want your clients to know more than you. You cannot educate the public if you do not educate yourself. Let me say that again. You cannot educate public if you do not educate yourself. Take classes. You guys are all great. You're here every Wednesday. That's awesome. You want to learn more and more every single day. Engage with other agents. Go to your local board. Just read about the market. Do whatever you have to do, but make sure you are educating yourself. Here's another thing that people see right through you with, and that's when you're not you. You're that avatar that you're supposed to be, right? You want to be you. I want Natalie to be Natalie, Cheryl Lisa to be Cheryl. I want Myrna to be Myrna, Kimberly to be Kimberly, Shauna to be Shauna. We're all different. That's the beautiful thing about all of us. We each have our pros and cons, our, aggressiveness, assertiveness, and we're all different. Individuality is a wonderful thing. So don't try to be that successful agent based on something you watch on the news or some show you see on TV or something you read. No, be you, but know your value. You are beautiful. You are the one that matters. So make sure that you are you. And guess what? You're not going to be everyone's agent, but you need to be okay with that. Because guess what? If you're not that person's agent and your personalities are going to clash anyway, and you say, you know what, but I don't want to lose that deal, and you do that deal, and that person clashes with you so much, and no matter how hard you try, all of a sudden you have 10 bad reviews on Google. And those 10 bad reviews are going to cost you way more than it would have if you had just walked away from that one deal. So be very, very careful taking a deal just because it's a deal. Don't be so desperate that it messes up your future. Keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate the process. You know, we all like to send out postcards, farming an area, or sending out items to your sphere. That's all good. Do that. Keep doing that. Keep them on a 33 touch, 32 touch, whatever. But if you send out melodramatic, and I say melodramatic information with flashy phrases, you know, or maybe a wonderful recipe that they could have found online themselves, it might just get lost. Remember, it's about the client, not you. We just said clients like facts. They like raw, honest information. So sending a lot of melodramatic stuff might not really create your value. So be careful with what you're sending. And also, I was going to say, people might think you have nothing to offer if you're putting your face on everything. So I usually don't send anything with my picture except every quarter, like one, if I send something every month, but like once a quarter, it'll have my photo, the rest won't. Because I would rather them see, oh, wow, this person's not about herself, because they see the picture, they throw it away. They see information, they might actually read it. And then every now and then, you know, after 2 or 3 months, they see my picture. Oh, so she's the one that's been sending it. But you don't want to do it so much that they think you're just sending them modeling composites, hoping to get on the next TV show. So just be very, very careful. And that, you know, get to the point. And when you send out the information, know that probably 80 to 90% of them are going to end up in the garbage. So don't spend so much time on it that it's going to be something that you really spent way too much time, way too much energy, and it wasn't even getting to the point. I like to send, you know, there's a specific one I send, which I know I haven't posted everything from last week. I'm going to do it this week, and I can put it on there too, which is basically just a QR code of Get Your Home Value, where people register on there, put their address, put their phone number, and then I can call them back. And it's really simple, but guess what? People do it. That one always brings results. So it's simple and to the point. Of course, trust is huge. And I don't know, I see some of you guys' lips moving. You might be talking to someone else, but if you are talking to me, just unmute yourselves. Be that person that they trust. What can you offer your clients that they cannot get from someone else or the internet? That's a hard one, isn't it? Because you can get just about everything from the internet today, right? But make sure you develop a relationship, however you're doing it, whether it be email, social media, however you're doing your marketing. Just make sure that you have something that they want. For instance, I have clients that call me before they do any work on their house. I'm sure you all have that same type of client. And they say, hey, I just was thinking about everything. And, you know, I'm going to go with, well, I was thinking about a grayish on my walls. What do you think? You know, so they care about my opinion. Or, hey, I was thinking about solar panels. What do you think? Or, hey, I was going to get a new kitchen. Is that going to increase the value to my house? So why do you think they call me? Because at some point during our transaction or our engagement, they felt a sense of trust. I was looking out for them. I was looking out for their interests. And that's our goal, right? Our goal is always to look out for the client's best interest, not our pocketbook, not our wallet, but our clients. So they need to know that we are here for them and that they can trust us. And not only can they trust us, but they need us. So, have you ever thought of how much you actually get paid per hour? Have you all ever thought about that? I see Natalie shaking your head.
Oh, I do.
Okay. And what have you come up with?
So every year it changes depending on how much transactions I need. That tells me how much calls I got to make, how many people I have to
Oh, you
contact.
mean a business plan? Wow.
So I do that. And it tells me what my hourly is.
Right.
And then if I know that I've shown a buyer a house, like 10 houses, it means I've lost my commission because
Yeah.
I've been spending all these hours with them and it hasn't converted to an offer or an accepted, or writing an offer or an accepted offer.
I hope everyone heard Natalie. That is exactly what I wanted to hear. You sit there and show a buyer. I hear agents tell me, I showed 37 houses to this buyer in the last year. And I'll tell them, you might as well have gone down this road to the fast food place and worked there for the last year. Because you are not showing your value. You are doing something. And I'm blunt, guys. So I'm telling you right off the bat, you have done something that has not worked, obviously. So you have to, if you're going to show, if I'm going to show you 10 houses, I'm going to refer you out to someone because you're obviously not serious. Or I'm not the person for you because that's too many houses. How long, anybody else know how much they make per hour? No one? My crickets are going to be coming out. Well, the reality is if you are showing that many houses, you have lost your commission. Just like Natalie said, I love the way she worded it. So be very careful and understand and write down. Take one transaction, take your next transaction and put a timetable to everything you do. Having a business plan would be ideal, which you guys all know I'm big on business plans. But if you don't have a business plan, start there. Start with one transaction and look at it and go from there. You might be sadly surprised. So you don't want to do that where it's not creating a value. So why do we negotiate so quickly at a listing, for example? Or if the seller is not paying the full commission desired, or if the sign calls, if a sign buyer is what I meant to write, calls you and asks you if you would lower your commission. We all get those calls, right? Where they say, hey, I'm just driving by, I'm just an investor, so just wondering if you would lower your commission if I write the contract with you. Careful with those calls, guys. And we're going to talk a little bit further about that. Or we even negotiate during a contract, right? Or after inspections. Well, you know, Shauna, I've already spent so much money on my inspections. I've already spent money on my appraisal. I can't fix anything. If the seller's not going to fix it, I'm going to walk away. And they're just waiting for you to say, oh, I'll contribute some. My answer to that is, wow, I'm really sorry. So you okay walking away from all that money you spent already? You know, it's not up to you to give them your money. It's your paycheck, guys. We don't think of it as our paycheck. That is your paycheck. Would you so easily hand your paycheck if you were in a different career? Why are you doing it here? You cannot minimize that. So let's look at an objection. Will you reduce your commission? Actually, let me go back, and you guys have all heard me say this, the ones that know me, but the first question is, the seller says, do you negotiate your commission? Who knows what I'm going to say? One of you knows what I'm going to answer. Unmute yourselves and say it if you know it. Really? No one?
I would say yes.
Okay. And
No,
what would
she
you say?
definitely is not going to say yes.
But I'm going to reduce the amount of work that I'm going to put in.
Okay, that's one way. And Kimberly, you said no. Okay, my answer is absolutely I'll negotiate it. We can go up and offer an extra percentage to the buyer's agent. And that is great. That's a great marketing technique, seller. I am 100% with you. Should we go 1 or 2% up? how quickly do they stop asking you to negotiate? That's the way I answer that one. But so I wanted to share that one with you. That one usually works really well. Because then they go, oh, no, 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 no. What I meant was, will you reduce your commission? No. Do you have any other questions, seller? That's how I answer it. Or I literally just say no. And just the biggest negotiating tactic is to stay quiet. If you've ever been in a situation where you're negotiating for something and you're being sold yourself, guess what they do? Number one sales tactic, answer and stay quiet. And you wait. It drives people nuts. The more you say, the deeper you're going in. So the less you say is more. So will you reduce your commission? No. And wait. Or no. Do you have any other questions? That one works really well. You also have no, our company policy is blank. Or I'm sorry, I'm not permitted to reduce that amount. Or my commission's not negotiable. No, you see, I don't know how to discount what I do or the services I provide. I'm sure that makes sense to you. And so I'll go through each one real quickly. We are allowed to say our company policy is. That's the one thing we are allowed to by anti-Sherman. I'm sorry, I'm not permitted to reduce that amount. You could use that. I don't like that one. To me, it's a little wimpy. I like being stronger, but it depends on your personality and it depends on the seller's personality. My commission's not negotiable. You could go there, but I think you're going to open it up to other questions. Now, the last one I do like in the sense of, no, you see, and what I usually say is, no, you see, I give you VIP service. I give you top-notch premium service, and I don't know how to do anything but top-notch. And then you basically are going to make them feel dumb by saying, of course, that makes sense to you, right? You wouldn't want me to give you bottom line service, right? You're not saying that, but that's what you're thinking when you say, I'm sure that makes sense to you, right? And I always add right. And then they're like, oh, yeah. But usually it stops with the very first one. Oh, yeah, I'll negotiate. Let's go up. That's usually where it stops. Another one is I only work, well, it's basically what I just told you. I only work with sellers who want premium service since that's the best way to help you achieve the highest possible price in the shortest amount of time. If you want to lower the commission, I'd be happy to refer you to an agent who provides less service. Again, you're making them feel like, why would I want less service? So again, you're just going to, it's also how you deliver that. You have to believe in you in order to say that. Because if you said, well, I only work with sellers who want premium services, and you know, that's the best way to achieve the highest possible price. Do you think they're going to believe anything I say? No. You've got to be strong and very determined when you say that. The other one is the last one here. I wouldn't do that to you. If I can't maintain the integrity of my commission, how can you expect me to maintain the integrity of negotiating the price of your home? I mean, you do want the highest price for your home, don't you? Again, throw it back at them. But the other agent that I'm considering said that they would, I don't know why there's red on it. I apologize. Do you guys see that red? That's really weird.
I think kids were playing on it.
Yeah, there's no kids here doing that. This is all virtual. I have no idea what I did. I must have annotated something and not taken it off. But if the other agent can't defend the money that he uses to feed and clothe his family, how do you think he'll protect your money when they're negotiating on your behalf? Again, you're turning it around to them. Will you cut your commissions? Other agents said they will. You know, you're right. There are a lot of desperate agents out there, and I'm a little concerned. Can I tell you why? And then, do you own anything more valuable than this home? Well, no. Could you say that this is your most valuable possession? Yeah. And if it's an investor and you know they own several, well, is it valuable to you? Yeah. If an agent is so desperate that they're willing to broadcast the fact that they don't think they have the value as a realtor, then I'm a bit confused. Again, throw it back at, I have value and I'm going to negotiate for you. I'm providing a service you need. I'm not a desperate agent. And I had one seller that he had never paid a full commission of what I wanted. And he basically stated, I never would do that. And Kimberly, I see your hand. I'll come to you in a minute. And he basically did when I said, look, I'm not a desperate agent. I'm sorry. And then he went ahead and hired me. Kimberly, what's your question? Unmute yourself. Kimberly? Okay, did I lose her? Okay. All right, well, she'll be back, I'm sure. Another one, I don't like this one so much, but it's another one. They may feel they're worthless. If they will reduce the price at the listing table, what will they do at the negotiating table? I'll be tough and professional on both my fee and the price, but most importantly, at the negotiating table. And again, commissions aren't negotiable with agents that sell homes daily. They are only negotiable with realtors who don't believe in the service that they offer. Now, you told me you had to be gone in 90 days, right? You need a strong service agent that sells homes, right? Again, turn it right around to what you were talking about. You've found their motivation, so now you're going to go right back to their motivation. Wait a minute, you need to get out of here in 30 days and you're considering going with an agent that's not a negotiator? You need a strong negotiator. So I'm going to stop sharing here and let you guys ask. Oh, actually, let me go back for a second because I want to show you something here. Oh, let me get back in here. And yeah, I wanted to make sure you guys knew this, that next week we don't have a compliance chat because there is a GAR versus RE forms class in person. If you haven't signed up or want to, you can always get on the waiting list. I know it's sold out, but again, there's always people that cancel. And then we also have a virtual class on May 30th, but we will be back on the following May anyway, or Wednesday anyway. And then here's my information if anyone needs it. I thought I had my email there. I apologize, but you guys probably have it already. Kimberly, I said go ahead and unmute before. Go ahead and unmute if you want.
Yeah, my call dropped for some reason.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I feel like I'm still working on my objections and everything, and what you just talked about was really helpful. So my most recent listing presentation was a for sale by owner previously. So of course she couldn't sell it, and now she's like, oh, okay, I'm willing to work with the agent. And what I wanted to kind of see what you would have said, or
Sure.
help on what I should have said, because what she didn't have like a commission percentage in mind per se, but because of course she had it out there for sale by owner for all these months, and at this point the family had moved out the house and is living in another house, so they got another mortgage. So now she's looking at her money, and she had a specific dollar amount, like I only want to pay this.
Oh, I'm losing you again. You just muted yourself, Kimberly. Are you there again? Well, just let us know when you come back, but I'll answer what I can at the moment. If with a for sale by owner, that's very common, where they're going to be thinking they want a certain price, or they want their house to sell for a certain price. A lot of times FSBOs are going to be overpriced as is. So the first thing I do with a FSBO, and that's actually how our career skyrocketed when we first started, was through FSBOs. I love FSBOs. But I will educate them on the market. First and foremost, I kind of avoid the commission question at the beginning, because I tell them, look, you don't need me. If you're doing this on your own, feel free to keep doing it on your own. You just call me if you need me. And I first start telling them that. I give them all sorts of information about, make sure you're following all the laws based on this, this, and this, disclosure, fair housing, et cetera, et cetera. Just kind of overload them with education. And I said, but ultimately, the price is what's going to dictate it, right? Price and marketing. Because, oh, I've had it marketed for a year. You have? Where is it, right? Oh, it's on Facebook, it's on FSBO.com, all that. and I'll explain to them the difference between MLS and whatnot. And then when they start asking me the negotiating or the commission questions, I'll explain to them again. Here's the thing, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, when I go to sell somebody's house, I'm putting my 100% of my professional experience behind it. So I'm not going to negotiate or skimp, and I'm going to negotiate as if it were my own home. So this is what my value is, and this is what my listing agreement will state, and I'll tell them what the commission amount is. And if they say, well, no, I can't pay that. Okay, so you're going to be willing to wait 2 or 3 more months paying your mortgage or paying your expenses to keep up the house, where you would have already paid that difference in that preconceived notion of what you are looking to get. And so that's one of the things I would do. Anybody else have another option of what they would do?
I think my phone started ringing. I'm back. I heard what you said though. I don't know the last part if you heard. I think you heard everything I said, but kind of basically what you just said. Her main thing was pretty much like, I want to spend this dollar amount in commission between you and the buyer's agent. And so she was like, and of course when I did the math, it's not like it ended up being really low or short, but it definitely was like, whoa.
Well,
There's
I would bring
room
her back to the market. I would say, here's the thing. I realize that's what you'd like, but when you go to the doctor to get surgery, they tell you what the price is, and it is what it is. This is my price. I will get the highest and best possible price in the shortest amount of time for your home. But I realize that's what you'd like to see, but the market's going to dictate what you're actually going to see. And I would explain to her, you know, the biggest thing is let's get your home sold. And you won't even feel the difference of what you're paying me because you're going to get the highest possible price for your home. Just bring her back to the marketing and to the value. But the minute you start negotiating, and even if you tell them, don't tell somebody else that you negotiated your value, guess what? The next person's going to know it. Oh, I'm friends with so-and-so. You know, she told me to call you to list my house. And even if they never tell you that she told them, you all of a sudden go in there and you get that question because they know you did it with so-and-so. So you're starting you've set a precedent. So you've got to know your value and just stand firm in that value. If you have to walk away from a listing, you walk away. You're going to get another one. You're going to get another one, and it might be 10 times better. But I won't take it under what I choose to do.
Deborah, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
In that case, and I'm still, I don't know much, but I could say that the house has been sitting for a year and nobody's in there. And we've had weather to drop, so that also adds to issues.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're going to bring up everything and anything you can. If it's been sitting for a year, look, you've already lost X amount, and I realize that this is the amount you want, but you could have avoided some of that loss had you priced it right from the start, had you hired me at the start. So let's avoid any future losses. Let's go ahead and sign here.
Deborah, how do you, I was watching a class one time and the man came, when he does his listings, he had like a menu, like a
I've seen this.
printed menu, like this is this, and you get all of this for this percentage, then it goes up. Like it starts at 6 and it goes up to like 9.
Yeah.
So they get to choose which one they want. How do you feel
That
about
one, I mean, I've seen it. It works for a lot of people. I think it's based on your personality. I mean, to me, it depends on the market you're working to. I don't know that if I went in there with a menu a la carte, going up, people would really appreciate it. I'd rather say you're getting top-notch performance and top-notch service, and this is what it is. And I don't like when you start taking it off either, because to me, it's like, this is who I am. Because guess what? The minute you start taking it off and they pay you less and they're not real happy, and all of a sudden it's your fault anyway, even though you told them from the start, you're the one that's going to end up getting that bad review. So we give top-notch service, whether it's $2 million home, $1 million home, or $150,000 home. So to me, that's my feeling. Natalie?
All right, so the question I have is right in that lines. We have competitors now, like, and I'm gonna
Mhm.
say the name, I don't know if I'm gonna get it. in trouble.
Yeah, don't say it. We
But Click It Realty, for
Okay.
instance, okay? And they're either charging an admin fee or 1% or something like that. Sometimes I get leads and the lead comes from a lead source and they might say it's like a 1.5% listing agreement or something of that nature. So it's either, are you saying don't go that model, just stick to one model for whatever it is? Not
I
saying do that, but your recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Most of the companies that you're referring to are also just transaction agents. They're not representing a client. They're working with them as customers.
Right.
So what ends up happening is they're not going to go in FMLS. They're going to go strictly in GMLS because FMLS will not take it anybody that's customer. They must have an exclusive agreement. For me, I don't think it's worth the work to do that and my reputation.
Mhm,
You have to decide what business model works for you.
mhm.
Personally, I would rather see, for me, I'd rather say, man, she's a top-notch agent. She gives all of her, professionalism, all her experience comes into play. I never have to worry about anything. I had somebody comment on one of my reviews about, wow, it was as easy as set it and forget it, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. So they felt very well taken care of. I don't ever want to be in a position, and I know my personality, I wouldn't allow myself to not give full service.
Mhm.
So I would most likely be doing all that work even if I lowered it. So for me, that wouldn't work. So you have to decide if you can do that. I would rather walk away. Um, and I have a feeling they're going to be missing some of those things that we talked about, the knowledge, the experience, the customer service, and they'll probably call you the next time or even call you with referrals.
Got it. And so with one of the questions that you asked on the poll, I've been working with my buyers majority of my career.
Mhm.
So explaining to them that if the seller doesn't pay the full 3% commission, that they would carry the balance. I don't have a problem. My conviction is there. I'm confident. Now I'm starting to roll more over onto the listing side. And my conviction is not there. Is there any recommendations on how to build that confidence when having to speak with a seller? Because I don't have a problem with the buyers at all.
Right. Practice. Honestly, it's going to be just a matter of practice. You have it with the buyers, you're going to have it with the sellers. The one thing I didn't mention that I want to make sure I mention is because our sellers and buyers, as you know, are very educated, they will notice if that conviction is not there. They will notice if you're weak on that and they will play into it. So you need to probably do some affirmations or some, self-positive affirmations for yourself before you walk in, knowing that that's going to happen or assuming it's going to happen and knowing I'm okay walking away today
Got it.
and just being strong. And you're going to probably have to walk away from 2 or 3 before you feel 100%. But the reality is once you do that, you're going to feel better and you're going to be like, nope. And another thing is doing, which I think it was you or Shauna that talked about knowing what your numbers are, right? Who was
Yeah.
it that said you?
For
Yeah.
me, so I
So-
know my numbers.
Yeah. So
now
knowing your
it's-
numbers,
yeah.
you don't want to go in there and work for peanuts, right? You don't
Right.
want to lose your commission. It's going to be the same with, even more so with the listing, because you're going to be spending more time and more, photos and marketing. So no, so you want to just go in there with the conviction of this is my value, this is my worth, and take it or leave it.
Right. Okay. Cool beans. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions, guys? Wow, you're quiet today.
Well, I have one, Deborah. I'm up against one of the big boys that have the billboards all over the world. And and their percentage is one thing, and then they guarantee, that they'll purchase the house and yada, 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 which I find very, very fascinating because they'll list it and not give the full percentage.
Right.
But when they buy it, they want 6% plus a fee. It's
Mhm.
just amazing to me. But the seller, her whole thing is, let me say this, and she's licensed. She's a realtor. And so
Oh,
she,
The seller is.
the seller is, she's out, she's moved on.
Okay.
But it's just amazing to me that those things keep coming up, and
And they will.
they want a whole list of things, but I did not move from my my commission. I was
Right.
like, no, this is what I'll do. And I'm willing to walk away if she doesn't choose me. And and she said, well, she sold so many. I'm like, well, if I had a billboard, all over the state of Georgia, I could probably have that many too. But
I actually love those because a couple things I focus on are the first point is if she's a seller, if she's active, or well, she's probably inactive, right, Myrna?
no, she's active. She's just out. She's just moved on, and she
Okay,
feels
but her
like
license is active. So first
Yeah.
thing I would do is I would offer her a referral. That's one thing I will do.
Well,
So,
she can't because she works for a builder.
oh, gotcha. Okay. So then I wouldn't.
Well, I can, but it's she said it gets complicated.
Yeah. So, I mean, but I might take what I would have done as a referral. That would be the only exception to my rule about bringing down the commission. I might take some of it off based on what I would have given her as a referral. But that I would use that as a last resort. The first thing I would do is focus on what I will be offering, the value that I'll be offering. And obviously, you can't speak badly about another company or agent, but you can say, just know sometimes there's teams and companies that'll have a big personnel where with me, you're going to be dealing with me and maybe my small team. You're not going to be dealing with hundreds of people or billboards. If you call me, I'm going to answer. You will hear from me. Focus on the things that we talked about. That's why I said the value presentation is the biggest part, because in those big billboard companies, you're not necessarily going to have the customer service. You may have one agent today and a different one tomorrow representing you. Explain to them who you think you're getting may not be the actual person you're going to be dealing with. Kind of bring questions into their minds and just say, like when you go, and me and my doctor presentations, I love that. But if you use a doctor analogy of, if you go to a very large doctor, it takes you 7 months to get an appointment, where if you go to a doctor down the road, they might see you next week and they'll even know your name. So, that type of thing, bring down that homey, I'm your agent type of presentation, but you have to just really go back to value. What's the value? Oh yeah, they'll buy your home, but do you know the specifics on that? It's not going to be at the price you want. It's going to be based on, I said, make sure you read the fine print. You can say things like that. That's not saying anything bad. You're just bringing them back to facts. So those are some of the things I would do.
Yeah, but I did say because I committed to doing a couple open houses, and I did say if there was an unrepresented buyer, then I would reduce my commission.
Ooh.
No, well, it's out there now.
Yeah, but I'm glad you brought it up, because that's another one, guys. Keep in mind, first of all, an unrepresented buyer at an open house. Who is your principal at an open house? It's your seller.
It's a seller, yeah.
Right. So you want to do what's in the best interest of your seller. Be careful when you've got an unrepresented buyer at an open house, because they're going to be your customer. And it's going to get it gets a little tricky. And all of a sudden you're reducing a commission because of that. I don't know. To me, it gets, I still wouldn't. Just be very, very careful. You want to give me and I like to give 100% to my client. So if you've got to share that 100% with your commission, with your customer, you always run the risk with a customer of getting in trouble. Always. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you're by the book. You always run a risk with a customer. So just know yourself.
Well, I've been licensed since 2001.
No, I know.
And I have never represented both sides. I'm just saying, I've never.
No, and I know you
because
personally, but
Yeah, I always, I always tell people now, you have the right to have representation,
Mhm.
and
And
so
that is
go
key,
for that,
guys.
and they say, oh, I can, okay. So
Yeah.
like I said,
And here's the thing, I will share a very quick story from somebody that I had to deal with this week. This is somebody that sold somebody's house, and it's a client of theirs. They've sold numerous houses for them, an agent. And then the seller said, "Hey, I want to buy a house." This agent took them out, found them a house on a Saturday. They sold the house on Friday. They closed on Friday. They went on Saturday, and the buyer texted her and said, "Yeah, I want it." And she goes, "Okay, I'm at dinner. I'll write it this evening when I get home." So she spent the day showing the property, right? And was going to write the offer. Had already gotten her pre-qualified. Guess what happened? That buyer decided to go and find somebody else that would write the offer. And then I got a call from the agent saying, "Wait a minute, I was the procuring cause." And this has really nothing to do with what you just said, Myrna, but it just kind of brought something to my mind. And what it was what was my first question to my agent? What do y'all think? I don't know.
probably did they sign
There's a
sign
BBA.
something?
Is there a BBA? Oh no, I just sold the house. I knew that it was fine. I was going to send it with the offer. Do they have a chance? It doesn't matter.
They don't.
Nope. So guys, I just wanted to bring that up because that is, this is somebody that they trusted, that they knew, that was a client of theirs. That happens. So just be very, very careful because we're in a different market. People just don't care sometimes. And so just be very, very careful in how you go about things. Another incident that happened this week that I just want to kind of bring up too is an agent parachuted another agent, meaning the listing agent began talking to the buyer's agent client. That's called parachuting. All of a sudden, that client thought that new agent or the listing agent was their agent. Do you think that the listing agent did anything unethical? Do you think you have a code of ethics violation with what just happened, what I just described? Yeah,
Yes.
you absolutely do. So what I'm getting at is there's stuff happening. People just are doing what they want to do because they want to make the money. So just be very, very cautious, dot your I's, cross your T's. But again, no compliance chat next week. Will come up the following week, but do sign up for some of the classes, max1training.com, and that's Max ONE training. If you see a waiting list, don't feel bad. Just go ahead and get on that waiting list. Can't guarantee you'll be in, but very often you will be. So I'd love to meet you guys in person, and hope you have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Bye.
Bye.